Brian Deer, who is the investigative journalist who blew the lid off of this story. He joins me now in London. Mr. Deer, thanks for being with us. Andrew Wakefield said that you were a hitman brought in to take me down by pharmaceutical interests. Your response?
Well, Anderson Cooper, I think, made the very pertinent point that it's not me saying this. It's the editors of a very prestigious international medical journal who've checked the facts with their internal staff, with external peer reviewers and lawyers. The facts have all been checked, and it is their judgment that Andrew Wakefield is a scientific fraudster. Now, as the allegation that I'm somehow involved with the pharmaceutical industry or something like that, this is another one of Andrew Wakefield's concoctions. He knows it's not true. Were this to be true, that I was involved in some kind of sinister conspiracy and these evidence against him was false, then he would have the greatest libel action in the world and he could retire on the money that he would make, because it's not just me saying this, it's a British medical journal, it's the Sunday Times of London, it's British television companies, so it's not just me. But I have actually done the investigation, I've done the work, and my evidence has been thoroughly checked, thoroughly peer-reviewed. Andrew Wakefield is a fraudster. Parents have been grievously misled.
He is insisting he is not, and he's saying too, Brian, that there are 5 other countries that verified, that replicated, rather, what his research findings were. Is that true?
Well, that's another one of his concoctions. What he does is he trawls through medical literature, finding some little fact somewhere, and then claims that the research somehow supports what he's saying. There is not one paper anywhere in the world that has replicated his findings. In fact, one of the papers that he quotes, one of the pieces of research that he quotes as supporting him, explicitly says that it doesn't.
Do you think criminal charges should be filed against him?
I personally do, but I think more important than that from America's point of view, I think the Department of Homeland Security should have their immigration people look at his visa application and to really try and get to the bottom of how it is he ever got into the United States in the first place, how it is he has been able to export his mischief from the United Kingdom to the United States, because I don't think that his visa application was filled in a way that would bear a great deal of scrutiny.
Is the book closed on this case now, or will this keep going back and forth with accusations? And what are parents supposed to do with this?
Well, I mean, a lot of people have said to me in the last day or so, is this the end of the matter? All I can say is that I can't give you the end of the matter. What I can do as an investigative journalist is give you the beginning of the matter, show you where it started. And if it's the case that the man who started this and the man who put these allegations around is dishonest and cannot be trusted, I think that helps parents to really form a better judgment for themselves on what to do about protecting their child's health.
How much damage did his initial report do?
Oh, immense damage. It's been exported from the United Kingdom, where it's caused deaths from measles. We've now got anxieties about vaccines in general arising from Wakefield and his supporters' work. And we've seen in California the worst whooping cough outbreak since the early 1950s, with 10 young babies dead.
You know, there are a lot of parents, though, that are coming out saying that we support Wakefield and that they believe that there is still a link between measles, mumps and rubella vaccinations and autism, and are insisting it and coming out very publicly in support of him.
Well, you have to remember that some of these are very vulnerable people. These are people who are faced with an inexplicable problem, which is that their child has developed perhaps some kind of developmental disorder, and they're looking around for an answer. And if somebody like Wakefield comes along really preying on them and gives them some kind of simple answer, oh, it was a vaccine, and people say, well, yes, my child was vaccinated and then soon after developed some kind of problem, then it may well be that it's a straw for them to grasp. But I can tell you that as a newspaper reporter, if I was to say that autism was caused by visiting zoos, what would happen is that night parents would go to their child's medical records and look at their diaries and say, yes, we went to the zoo. We went to a zoo in San Diego on the 31st of the month, and 3 weeks later we were seeing problems with our child. It must be something that happened at the zoo. So people do believe these things, particularly when somebody who was a doctor, I suppose, because he's had his licence revoked, puts forward some kind of scientific theory, then people, yes, they do cling to this idea.